Next, welcome Mary Monroe.
Okay, I'd like to start out by saying that I'm glad that everybody was able to make it here. I made it, but unfortunately my luggage is probably somewhere in Aruba. So I don't have some copies of my book with me, my newest books. I wanted to share the gorgeous covers with you. But another reason I'm glad to say that I was able to make it is because some publishers told me that I would never get published, and so I'm not supposed to be here. But I'm here to celebrate the publication of my 11th book. And I'm so happy to say that so far all of my books have made it to a bestseller list. One even made it to the New York Times bestseller list. And for years and years I wanted to go to Hollywood because I'm, a big movie and TV fan. I'm still waiting for that to happen, but just recently Hollywood came to me. And so my 11th book, The Company We Keep, they started filming last Wednesday. And I'm going to go down to Hollywood in a couple of weeks to do a bit part, but I told them, I said, well, give me enough time to lose about 8 pounds, and then you can only shoot me from the neck up. But anyway, God Don't Like Ugly series will continue. A lot of people email me and ask me, well, what happens next, and this, that, and the other. And it's hard to tell people that you've got to end a story somewhere, but every time I do that, people still ask me, well, what's going to happen next? So I think what I need to do to get people to stop asking me that is to kill everybody off in, in a particular book, but I'm not going to do that. God Ain't Blind, the 4th book in my God Don't Like Ugly series, is coming out in September. And I'm real excited about it, and I hope to come back down here during the tour. I usually come to Alabama every year on tour anyway. But I didn't start out with novels. I started out with short stories and confession stories. Wrote my first short story when I was around 4 or 5. Hanging out in the cotton fields of rural Alabama, and everybody thought it was nuts. My family told me, you don't need to do that, everything you need to know is in the Bible. Well, I didn't go that route. So when I was a teenager, I wrote for the confession magazines. I wrote stories with lurid titles like I Married My Rapist, I was a Lonely Hearts Club swindler, my husband and his woman tried to kill me with voodoo, and everybody was excited except my grandfather, who was a very big shot, in the church. And so one day he took me aside and he said, the good Lord has blessed you, you were born with this talent to tell these stories, but the least you can do is to write at least one story with a Christian theme to it, right? So I wrote a story that night called A Homosexual Preacher Stole My Husband. He didn't like that either, but the main point I wanted to touch on something that Vanessa said. It's about rejection, because all those publishers told me that I would never get rejected, and had I bought into that, I wouldn't be here today. But my first book, my first novel, was The Upper Room. It was published in 1985. It got rejected 55 times, and it took 2 years to sell it. And I thought that I was on my way. I said, I proved all these publishers wrong. Well, it took another 15 years and another 700 or 800 rejection letters to get my second contract with Defina Kensington. And so now I can't write the books fast enough. Some of the same publishers who told me, don't ever send us another manuscript. Some of the same publishers are trying to woo me away from my current publisher, and that's just not going to happen. I am very happy, and I'm so happy to say that I will never run out of ideas. People say to me, what do you do when you get writer's block? I don't even know what writer's block is, because all of my stories are based on my experiences. And if you've read my books, and I know that's a scary thought, but it's true, because when I started, I tried to imitate other authors. I was a huge Stephen King fan. And Toni Morrison, told me one day in a letter, she said, don't imitate me. Don't try and imitate Stephen King. Find your own voice and use that voice. Write about what you know. And so that's what I do. I write what I can, not what I cannot. And what's interesting is one reviewer even compared me to Stephen King. And so I'm happy to say that now I am part of the world that I was born into, even though a lot of my family members don't read. They don't read my books. They look at them and say, oh, I read enough in school, And why do you want to do that? Why don't you look for a real job like your sister? My sister works in a Rite Aid or one of the drugstores, and she's had her problems with drugs and prison and things like that, and she's finally turned her life around. At the last family reunion, they were bragging about my sister. Oh, Susie's doing so well. Susie got her Section 8. straightened out. She just got out of jail. She's on probation. She's doing so well. Her man just got out of jail. Oh, she's doing so well. We're so proud of her. She's now managing a drugstore. And my name came up, and somebody said, well, what is Mary doing? Oh, poor Mary. All she does is write books. Thank you very much.